Hello, here we are in Illustrator. This is Brian again, and we're going to set up a new document. So I'll just say new. We'll call this ID board. And then notice I've got 11 by 17, but the width is 11 and height is 17. So I'm going to just click this little button over here. So now the width is 17, and bada bing, bada boom, there we are. So when you open up Illustrator, you may see different palettes. If you go to your workspace, I'm using this one called Basic right now, which looks like this. I'm using this because it has a smaller footprint. It's not taking up as much as my space. If I choose panel type, I think, it gets a lot bigger. And if you have a bigger screen, that might be better for you. So first go to your workspace and go to Basics so we're on the same page. I've got my 11 by 17. This is the document border. The other thing is you want to maybe do is turn on this Smart Guides. And what that does is it gives you, it kind of preempts you a little bit. And that's one of the things that when I click over here on the corner, you'll see that little highlighted word coming up there saying intersect. That's what Smart Guides does. It kind of tells you what's going on. Let's zoom out a little bit so I can see. So as I said last time, I just make my first thing is a big box, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this into a crop area, and so that kind of defines where my JPEG will be saved. It will be contained in there. Anything else on the outside will be cut off, so that's good. We are going to do a board with a bunch of pictures on it. So first thing, as I mentioned before, I should, oh actually I lost my center point, but let's do this again. Actually, let's do this a little different. I'm going to take, I just drew a circle, what are these things called? Squares, from the corner to corner. And now I'm going to use my resize tool, and there's a little X there. That means that's the center of where it's going to be resized from. So I'll grab one of these corners, and I'm actually just going to kind of visually resize this time. And say, okay, that's my document boundaries. I'm not going to go beyond that. Now I'm going to make this into my border. So first off, I'm going to choose a fatter line weight, no fill. There's my, let's go to a gray, kind of a bluish gray, let's say. So that's the color, and that's a fill and stroke. And now, where's my stroke? I forget. Oh, it's over here. I'm going to bump that up to, let's say 9. Let's go 10. Yeah, there you go. All right, so I've got that. And now I want to, I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of angled thing, or it's better to show you than explain. So under my pen tool, if I click on it, I've got a couple options. And one of them is add anchor points. And that's what I want to do. I'm going to add 2 anchor points over here. And I'm going to add 2 down here, and you'll see what I'm doing in a second. And now I'm going to grab this hollow arrow tool, the little ninja tool that can get in there. Click off of everything first, and then just grab this one segment. And if, oh, that behaved differently than I thought. Why did it do that? That was weird. I can drag across these 2. Let's try that. And yeah. I don't know why, I just did this a minute ago and it didn't do this, but so there's a little, let's zoom in. There's a little arrow, a handle here. I can actually just push that back in and make that into a straight line. And I think I might need to do that down over here too. Nope. Okay. So I wanted this kind of little jaggedy edge. And I wanted to show you that the difference between the tools is if with the regular arrow tool, if I select anywhere, I'm grabbing the whole object. I'm going to undo that. And I've got 2 other arrow tools. One is hollow and one's hollow plus. The hollow plus is for getting into a group but still being able to select the whole entire object. And this hollow regular is to be able to select an individual point or a line segment or drag across several segments. So what I wanted to do was something like this. So and now I can just grab this one segment, or I can drag across that segment to grab it, and I can scoot it around a little bit. And I can see there's something weird going on here with the handle, so I'll just squish that back in. And then I'm going to do the same down here, and I might have that same issue. I'm not sure. No, it looks good. All right, so I've started to get my little kind of crazy border I wanted. The next step, I'm going to add the rounded corners. So now this gets a little different. Under effects, these are live effects, meaning that you can change, I can set something and change it later, which you can't do normally. So under here, I'm going to go under Stylize. And under Stylize, there's round corners. And unfortunately, in Illustrator, you can only round them all at the same radius. You can't choose individual ones, which would be nice. I've already set it up to 0.3 inches. I'm going to preview that, which is nice. Also, in effects, you can preview more than you can in the other ones. And that looks good. And the difference here is, when I was talking about live, is you see that here's the actual line, and then there's the rounded corners. So I can still manipulate these, and it will continue to round the corners for me. So once again, I'm kind of grabbing the line segments. And the reason I'm doing this is I want my signature to fit down under here and the title to fit up under there. So let's grab my signature. I think I've got it. Yeah, here it is. I've already got it open. Grab that, copy it. Command W closes that. I'm going to zoom into my area, and Command V will paste it. And whenever you paste it in the center of the document that's open. So if you get kind of close to where you want to be, it'll land where you want it. So I want to line this up, and I'm kind of visually doing it, and I'm thinking, that's not getting quite where I want it to be. So I'm going to do, and I forget where to get these rulers. File. I can't remember where they are. Command R. Command R is the shortcut. Let's just do that. So that gives me the rulers. And if I grab anywhere in a ruler, I can drag out a guideline that will just stay. And these I want to visually get to my edge of my stroke. And I was off a little bit. I'm just going to undo. And I can't snap. I would snap to that, but actually it's going to snap to the center of the line right here, because that's where my point is. The stroke itself, I can't snap to that. I can later, and I'll show you that. That was close. Okay, so there's my guidelines, and actually I was pretty visually close. I'm going to use my arrow keys to tab, not tab, but those little arrow to nudge around. And that's another thing is when I'm nudging, if I do Command K, which is the preferences, which is Illustrator preferences right there. Here's the keyboard increment. This is one I change a lot. So I've got it set pretty fine. If I set it, let's just get rid of one of the zeros. So now it's 0.01 inch. And now when I tab, it moves in bigger chunks. Let's go to even. There, tab, 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 tab. So that's nice for just being able to do some fine adjusting where you can't quite maneuver. So I'm going to go back to hollow arrow. Now I got my signature in there. I'm going to pull this closer and down. It's a little too slanty. Give myself a little space around there. Cool. That's what I wanted. Now I want a headline. And I will type in my headline. Oops. Okay, so one thing about typing in Illustrator is you see it using the color that your layer is in. It's kind of hard to see the type sometimes. So I wanted this, and I wanted to show you that, usually I just type it in, and then it's almost easier to use the resize tool and resize where you want it to be. But if you are using your sizes, they're up here. And I would say for a headline, I would go anywhere between 48 and 72. So let's choose 48, and look, I was pretty close. But I also wanted this all caps, so I wanted to show you that too. If you go into Edit, I think it's an Edit. No, sorry, Type. Change case, and I'm going to go to uppercase. There, now I don't have to retype it all. So this is getting there, but I wanted some special font. Now when I select here for fonts, I can't see what the font looks like, which, you know, if you're really good, you could memorize 10,000 names of fonts. I can't. So if I go to the text palette, which I don't see here, but I will go Command T, and that brings up my text. And you can drag these things in and lock them to, you can rearrange this palette. So there's all my text now. So if I click on that, I want something a little more interesting. And now when I click on it, it gives me a little preview of what the font looks like. Let's get something cool but readable. Actually, let's just do impact. So I've got my size. These are about the spacing. So for example, here, if you watch the letters, they spread apart. You know, give it a little bit more space. So I'm just giving it 10. And you can get in there really fussy. This is not necessarily the best font to show that, but if I click in between the A and the R and go into this one, I can actually squeeze those in a little bit. A lot of times the A, because it's slanty, leaves a big gap in there. So you can actually go in there and finesse the individual letters. So I want to do the same thing with the guides to kind of figure this out. But first, I'm going to change that color. Actually, no, I'm not going to change the color yet. I am going to take this and show you. I've got this line. It's got the rounded stroke on there. I want to bring this over and get this all set up because I'm going to kind of lock it in a second. And make that a little steeper. And I'm holding down Shift while I move. When I move these, because if I don't, it might go over here, but if I hold Shift, it constrains it, and you can see that Align 0 text. It shows me that I'm keeping it aligned. Now it would also align in 45-degree increments. So when you get really close, it kind of gets a little harder. So sometimes it's easier just to pull it way far away and then go back in and kind of adjust it. All right, getting closer. Now, next trick I want to do is I want to take this outline and I want to make it, I want to kind of merge the corners down and make it into a outlined object instead of a stroked object. So first step, I'm going to say expand appearance, and the appearance is the corners. And you'll notice that now I've actually got rounded corners instead of those corners. Now to move these around, it gets a little bit more cumbersome. It's still possible, but what I have to do now is grab all these points, and you may not see these. Oops, and I missed that one. And then I can move, and I got my type too. I can move that whole section, but you can see it's a little harder. So, but I still want to go one step further, so I'm going to do that again. I'm expand. Now you notice appearance is grayed out because there's no more appearances, but I can still expand. And now I want to expand the stroke, not the fill. There's no fill in there, so just the stroke. And now it even gives me just the lines now for the inside and the outside of the stroke. The reason I wanted to do this, I wanted to do something a little bit more unusual by use my plus selection tool now. This is because I want that whole line, but I don't want, if I select with this, it'll grab everything because this is one object. But I just want this inner line. Now I'm going to use my resize tool over here again, and I'm going to resize just in one direction. And that gives it kind of a almost calligraphy look. Let me get this thing out of here. So I kind of like where that's going. Next step is to put some pictures in there. So I'm going to draw, let's say I want 8 pictures total. So I'm just going to draw some boxes, and I'm holding down Shift to move it over, and then I hold down Option after that, and that makes a copy, and I let go, and there's a copy. Now if I go up under Object and say Transform Again, which is also Command D, it repeats the last thing you just did. So since it's still selected, it repeats it again. Now I want one more time, so I'm just going to do Command D. Now I've got 4 boxes. I grab all 4 of those, and here I'm using the resize tool, click in one of the corners because I want that one to stay there, and I drag the other corner over to, and I could figure this out exactly. In fact, let's just show you a shortcut for doing that. Sorry, zoom in. So one of the shortcuts for getting the edges exactly right is I draw something clicking from this corner, and then it snaps to that corner. I've got a little object that just happens to be the exact size. Now I'm going to bring this over holding down Shift and Option again, and I bring it off to the side so that I could get in there and grab the different corner, and I'm going to let this snap to this edge and let go. And now I know if I grab these boxes and resize from that point over and let it snap to that one, then that has the exact same border distance, and I can just get rid of these little tools that I used. Now I also want 2 layers, so I'm going to grab this whole stack by dragging across, drag it down, holding down Shift to constrain, and Option to copy. And again, I could grab all of these, and I know my width is right, but I'm going to adjust the height a little bit because I'm going to put some text down there. All right, so now I've got these were our picture placement proxies, I guess, and I'm going to put pictures in there later, but I also want those all to have the rounded corners. So if I go up to under Effects, it's going to remember the last thing I did, which says Apply Round Corners, so I can just do that. And there's my basic layout for that. So, but I want to put a picture in there. So first, let's do them one at a time. I'm going to object expand the appearance of that so that it actually is a rounded corner object. And somewhere in here, where's my photo? No, sorry, it's in here. There's a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to try the drag and drop. So I'm going to scroll down here. This is the picture I wanted. I'm going to just drag it over here, and it drops it in here. And sometimes if you try to drag a photo from the internet, it won't do that. You have to drag it to your desktop first. So I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to crop it with that box. So the box needs to be in front. So a couple different ways to do this, but let's actually send the picture to the back. So if I go to Object, Transform, Arrange, Send to Back, that's behind the box. And now the box, I want to be able to see what I'm going to get, so I'm going to change over here the stroke for the fill. So now I've got a stroke line, and I can't even see what that is, so I'm going to bump that up just temporarily to 5 so I can see where it is. We'll zoom in. Now I'm going to resize my picture so that it's where I kind of want to crop it. Let's go a little closer. Scoot this over a little bit. Come on. I might use my nudge tools. Okay, now that I got this all set up, if I select, that's still selected, I hold down Shift and select my object that's in front, and Object, Clipping Mask, Make. There. Now I've got that object cropped with the rounded circles and everything. And the last step I'm going to do is I'm going to do another effect of stylize and drop shadow right there. And this one you want to be a little careful. It gets heavy-handed pretty quick. So I'll leave the defaults except for I'm going to cut the opacity down. Let's try 40. And you can also change the color of the shadow. Let's preview it first and see. There's the shadow. I'll leave that. Sometimes I will change the shadow color to a little bit cooler. Gray. But the whole thing is cool gray, so maybe that's not necessary. But you want to keep it real subtle, not like black and heavy-handed. All right, next step, I was talking about two-toned layouts. So let's choose a color from here. So we'll select our gardening thing. Actually, I'm not sure if this matters, but So let's get a eyedropper tool and we'll pick a green. Oh yeah, it worked, okay. So because I have that selected and I've got the eyedropper selected, it's sucking that color into that.